All right, big news out of NASCAR. They're hitting a giant reset button for the 2026 championship. It's a move that's kind of looking to the future, but also weirdly looking to the past. And the whole thing was kicked off by one of the wildest, most talked about finishes we've seen in a long, long time.
So get this, how can you possibly win a championship without leading a single solitary lap in the final race? I mean, that sounds like a trick question, right? But it's not. It's exactly what happened at the end of the 2025 season, and the controversy it created was the spark that lit the fire for total teardown and rebuild of the championship system.
And yep, in 2025, NASCAR found out exactly how. And let's just say they decided it was time for a major change. This wasn't some funny little quirk in the stats. It was a moment that really made people question the whole system. The issue wasn't just how it could happen, but whether it should happen. And that's what made NASCAR take a long, hard look at its winner-take-all format.
Okay, so to really get why NASCAR is making this huge shift, we've got to go back to what caused it all. Let's rewind the tape to that dramatic and, for a lot of people, a really unsatisfying 2025 championship race.
So here's the breakdown of what happened, and it's a real head-scratcher. Kyle Larson, he's your champion, after finishing third. Didn't lead a single lap. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin absolutely dominated that race and walked away with nothing. You know, this had only happened once before in 12 years. It just felt wrong to a lot of people. It made them ask, did the best driver that day really win the big prize? And look, this wasn't just fans getting upset on social media. The pressure was coming from inside. When NASCAR's own president, Steve O'Donnell, says the tide had turned in the garage area, you know it's serious. The drivers, the teams, the folks actually out there competing were feeling it too. And when that happens, change is definitely coming. So, with everyone agreeing something had to give, NASCAR looked into its own playbook for an answer, and they pulled out a name that, if you've been a fan for a while, you'll definitely remember.
And that answer is The Chase. Yep, it's back. We're talking about a 10-race playoff where the champion is simply the driver who racks up the most points over those final 10 races. No more winner-take-all drama. This is all about rewarding performance over a long stretch, not just one lucky day.
All right, so what does this new version of the Chase actually look like? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how you're going to win a championship starting in 2026.
You know, what's great about this is how straightforward it is. You've got your 26-race regular season, and your job is to get into the top 16. If you make it, boom, points get reset, and it's a 10-race sprint to the finish. Whoever has the most points at the end of that, that's your champion. Simple as that. Now, when I say the points reset, it's not a complete clean slate. Your performance during the regular season still matters. If you're the regular season champ, you get a nice little points cushion to start the chase. That 25-point lead for first place, that could absolutely be the difference between hoisting the trophy and going home empty-handed. And then there's this number, 55. This might seem small, but it's a huge deal. That's the new points total for a race winner. By making a win worth so much more, NASCAR is basically telling the drivers, forget playing it safe for points, go for the win. This should make the racing way more aggressive.
Okay, so we have the new rules. Let's put it all together and compare what we've had for the last decade with what's coming.
This really breaks it down nicely. What's gone? Well, the big things are that crazy Championship 4 finale and the elimination rounds. No more winning you're in to save your season. But what's back is that cumulative points system. And notice what's staying. We still have a 16-driver field, and those stage points are still super important. So while the end goal is different, the week-to-week strategy still has some familiar elements.
So who's this new format gonna favor? Well, funny enough, we can look back in time to get a pretty good idea. Let's see who was on top the last time we had the chase. You know, when you look at it like this, you can see that NASCAR is always tweaking things. From the old full-season point system, to the original chase, to the elimination playoffs, and now we're coming full circle back to the chase. It's just the next chapter in the sport's evolution. And man, when you look at that first chase era, it was all about dynasties. Jimmy Johnson, 6 championships, including 5 in a row. That is just unreal. Tony Stewart nabbed 3. This format rewards the teams and drivers who can stay at the top of their game for 10 straight weeks. So the big question is, who's the Jimmy Johnson of this era? All right, let's bring it all home. What's the big picture here? What's the ultimate goal of this whole reset?
You couldn't ask for a better stamp of approval than this one. Hall of Famer Mark Martin, who was on the committee that came up with this, he calls it the most perfect compromise. And when you think about it, he's spot on. It really is an attempt to find that perfect middle ground.
Because that's really what this is all about. The goal is to find that perfect balance. You want to reward the driver who's been the most consistent all year long, but you also need that excitement of a postseason for the fans. It's a tough needle to thread, but that's what they're aiming for.
And that, of course, leaves us with a million-dollar question heading into 2026. Is rewarding consistency the right move for the sport? Is this new way going to crown a more deserving champion? Or are we all going to miss the absolute, heart-pounding chaos of that winner-take-all finale? I guess we'll just have to wait and see.